So when I got my AirPods Pro 2, I was amazed at how big of an upgrade they were over my original AirPods Pro. They sounded significantly better, the noise cancelling was miles better too, and the transparency was vastly improved. However, when I got my AirPods Pro 3, I didn't have this feeling. They were an upgrade over the AirPods Pro 2 for sure, although not quite as big of an upgrade. And in some areas, they were even a downgrade. But you know what is actually a big upgrade? Our latest packs for wallpapers are already out, and they look amazing on the new iPhone 17s. City Cartography by Laura is a super detailed city pack that comes in various hues. Leave a comment down below if your city is featured. Then Topographic Threads by Wall Media is a super low-key pack that looks awesome on your iPhone, iPad, or even on your desktop. But my favorite one by far is Tahoe Twilight by Mahim. This is the one that I'm using on my MacBook Air every single day, and it's simply a joy to look at, especially on a MacBook, but it does look great on a phone too. So check out wallpapers for iOS and Android by using the links below for hundreds of awesome designs that you can also download for free. So let's start with the bad stuff first, and I've got 3 things to mention here. First, the case is noticeably bigger than before, so whenever I slide it into my pocket, it just feels very bulky, which I'm not a fan of. I get why it's bigger, it's because Apple redesigned the AirPods Pro themselves, so the shape has been updated. They now stick out more, and because of that, they had to make the case bigger. The second thing I don't like is also related to the case, and that's that we no longer have a pairing button on the back. You now have to double tap the front of the case to put it in pairing mode. And you have to sometimes tap it a few times until it works, so it's not intuitive at all. For example, last month I was flying to the Snapdragon Summit and I had something like an 11-hour flight, so I wanted to play on my Switch, of course with the AirPods Pro 3s connected, as it was quite loud. And I couldn't figure out how to connect them. Like, I kept tapping the case all over and nothing happened. I wasn't sure if I had to tap the back or the front, if I had to tap with the AirPods in the case, with the AirPods out of the case, or with the AirPods semi-open. And since I had no internet connection at a time, I just couldn't look this up. In the end, after tapping all over, I managed to get them to pair, but yeah, definitely not a great experience. But by far, the main issue that I've had with these AirPods has been the interference. Have you ever held a mic that was connected to a live speaker? Or have you ever tried a cheap hearing aid? Because if you did, you would hear this noise. Yeah, an unbearably loud, deafening noise. Well, these AirPods Pro 3 also have this issue. I've noticed it specifically when I was flying and wearing this airplane neck pillow. Yes, I know it's something very specific, but for me this has been a major issue because I tend to use my AirPods Pro whenever I sleep on a plane because they're so small and so good in terms of noise cancelling. And the AirPods Pro 3s kept waking me up because of this loud, sharp noise that I kept hearing. And the thing is, I never had this issue with the AirPods Pro 2. And guess what? I'm not the only one with this issue. I've spoken to a number of tech creators who also experienced this exact problem on a plane. So why is this happening? Well, I think it's got to do with the new microphones. The placement of both external mics is the same, but the grills are significantly bigger. And because of that, I think they're just way more sensitive to any movement of the AirPods in your ears. So if you don't have a perfect seal, these mics will then pick up the audio from the internal speakers and create that loud feedback noise. And that's why when I was wearing that airplane neck pillow or resting my head on the airplane window, the AirPod would simply move slightly and then the fit would be affected, hence the feedback noise. So I'm not sure if Apple can fix this through a software update. All I know is that the AirPods Pro 2 did not have this issue. And flying with the AirPods Pro 3, for me at least, has actually been very difficult. But aside from these 3 things that I did not enjoy about the AirPods Pro 3, there are 7 things that I did actually enjoy coming from my AirPods Pro 2. The first of which is the comfort. Apple changed the ear tips of the AirPods Pro 3 to be a mix between foam ear tips and silicone ear tips. And that actually makes a big difference, especially when combined with the new redesigned shape of the AirPods themselves. They feel more comfortable in my ears, and most importantly, they do not fall out when I work out, something that was an issue with my Pro 2s. Now, don't get me wrong, they're still not as secure as the Powerbeats Pro 2, for example, that go over your ear, but they are considerably more secure than the AirPods Pro 2 were. The second thing that I love about them is the battery life. I'm getting about 30% more than with my AirPods Pro 2. Apple claims 2 extra hours on the Pro 3, so 8 compared to 6. And that's 33% more, so seeing 30% in my case is quite fair, especially considering that my AirPods Pro 2 have lost some of their battery health over time. However, the battery life on the case has actually gotten worse, going down from 30 hours to 24. And that was definitely something that I have noticed, since I've been charging my case about 3 times a week as opposed to twice a week, like with my AirPods Pro 2. However, the increased battery life of the AirPods themselves did actually come in handy when I was sleeping on the plane with them in my ear. With the AirPods Pro 2, they would die and I would get that low battery noise that would wake me up. With the Pro 3s, I would simply just get that feedback noise that would wake me up even more often. But hey, at least it's not a battery life anymore, right? Which brings me to what you're all probably here for the most, the sound quality. And the biggest improvement that I've noticed here is the bass. You get a lot more bass with the Pro 3s, and the low end specifically are significantly richer. This is the biggest improvement by far. And aside from that, the whole sound profile does sound more processed. It's hard to describe, but it kind of feels as if there's already an EQ applied straight out of the box, if that makes sense. I know some people that do actually prefer the more natural sound of the AirPods Pro 2. However, for me, I actually do prefer the richer sounding 3s. And of course, one thing that makes the sound quality even better is the noise cancelling. This one's a pretty noticeable improvement over the AirPods Pro 2. Apple's claiming a 2x improvement. Personally, I'm seeing about 60% better noise cancelling or more noise cancelling. This is specifically when it comes to unpredictable noises like people talking. Cancelling out predictable noises like airplane noises or traffic noises is also an improvement, although in that case, I'm seeing about 30% better. All in all, a very good improvement here. Now, aside from this, the microphones are also noticeably better. They sound more like a dedicated mic as opposed to a Bluetooth earbud mic. This is a test of the microphone on the new AirPods Pro 3. And this is a test of the microphone on the AirPods Pro 2s. Surprisingly though, these new microphones don't actually make the transparency mode miles better. Like, it sounds different, it's richer, that's probably to do with the new processing, but in terms of the clarity, I find it basically the same as before. Now, another thing that I liked about the AirPods Pro 3 is surprisingly the new heart rate sensor. And I'm saying surprisingly because I've already tried this on Apple's Powerbeats Pro 2 that they released earlier this year. However, unlike the Powerbeats, which will prioritize the heart rate coming from your Apple Watch if you are wearing both, the AirPods Pro 3 will actually work alongside your Apple Watch to give you a more accurate reading. I found this especially useful when lifting weights. That's one area where the Apple Watch would struggle in. However, the AirPods are just perfect for that since, they're steady in your ear. Also, something cool, when you start a workout, let's say a walk or a run, in iOS 26 you can see your workout as a live activity on your iPhone. You can then tap that to make it go full screen, and my favorite part is that it will also show you the connected devices that are measuring your heart rate. In my case, my Apple Watch Ultra and my AirPods Pro 3. Which brings me to my final favorite thing about the AirPods Pro 3, USB-C, which I know is a self-explainer, and not having to carry a lightning cable or a MagSafe charger with me to charge my case has been really, really nice. Oh, and yes, one more thing, there's also the lower latency and lossless audio when connected to the Apple Vision Pro. Something that I did not have on my AirPods Pro 2 since I had the original Lightning version and not the new USB-C version, which did have this feature. Although the improvement wasn't as big as I thought it would be. Like, long story short, when you're watching a movie, it just feels a bit more, I don't know, like that person is here. That's basically how I would describe it. It feels more like transparency mode than wearing Bluetooth earbuds. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's worth upgrading just for that. So having said all of this, I think if you've already got the AirPods Pro 2, especially the USB-C version, I don't think you should upgrade. I think you should wait for the AirPods Pro 4, which have actually been leaked, and I've covered those in this video right here. Essentially, they're said to come with some cameras that are supposed to track your environment. But if you do have the AirPods Pro 1s, or you're getting your very first AirPods Pro, then the 3s are a really nice pick. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, if you've tried them or not. What do you think of the new fit, the noise cancelling, and also if you've experienced that weird feedback noise issue like I have. Stay tuned for my full review on the new iPad, Vision Pro, and also the new M5 MacBook Pro. I'm Daniel, this is ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.